we are being told that they have gone missing. If you go a step back, the context within which it becomes a troubling story is the fact that, look, the items that had been imported, the items that had been procured, we are being told that ECG had procured in excess of what they needed. And so they are looking at materials that they needed between a 5 and a 10-year period. And all the experts make the point that it was really unnecessary at that point in time for them to decide to procure that many items. But they nonetheless did. And even beyond that, they were kept at the port for so long. Various reasons were given. The new government decided that, look, this is a matter that they believe that a committee should go into it and look at it, as well as other issues relating to the Electricity Company of Ghana. And the findings are very disturbing. And this is why we'll be talking about this issue very closely this morning. Let me start a conversation by walking you through details of the investigative report, the findings. We start off with what the committee found with regards to how ECG handled it. And it says here that management's negligence caused the hold-up of ECG containers at the port, incurring demurrage to the tune of over 909,578,400 Ghana cedis. That is over 900 million cedis. Director of Procurement, Premises and Estates stated that indeed ECG procured in excess of its demand, but intimated that this was due to pressure and influence from above. You recall I had made a point that they had procured items that they did not need, and the Director of Procurement told the committee that was investigating it that it was due to pressure from above that resulted in this type of procurement, especially when they knew that they did not need that quantity. The container hold-up situation was created to enable the award of clearing contracts to the tune of 159,650,000 Ghana cedis to third-party service providers, even though ECG has a functional shipping unit that is capable of clearing the held-up containers from the ports. The contents of the ECG containers powered up at the port include meters, conductors, poles, transformers, and cables, amongst others. A clearing contract to the tune of 127,650,000 Ghana cedis was awarded to a company which was not a registered customs house agent, even though ECG itself is a self-declarant. The report goes on to note that ECG could not account for at least 1,346 containers valued at $489,099,241.62, some of which held various goods. High-value goods we are looking at, including transformers. Even though the reason given by ECG for not clearing the containers promptly was due to lack of funds, ECG managed to award a contract to and pre-finance one of the clearing agents, that is Mint Logistics Limited, with 30 million cedis. And even though the reason given for not clearing, so again, the contract that was awarded to Mint comes up again, 30 million cedis pre-financed by the Electricity Company of Ghana, the company that had said that it could not clear the items at the port because of not having access to funds. It managed to pre-finance for a private company to undertake the clearing. Now, this is another disturbing contract that has come up strongly. We are told that Dawods Bond Limited fraudulently cleared 47 containers out of the port without following due process of paying duties to the state. And we are told that what was delivered to ECG was one shot, and so one container was not delivered. So 47 containers, the company delivered only 46 to ECG. Again, the same company is currently demanding an amount of 5,290,000 Ghana cedis from ECG for the services rendered. This fraudulent clearance, that is according to the committee, of the 47 containers implies that Dawods Bond Limited evaded duties or taxes to the tune of 4,799,763 Ghana cedis and 43 pesos. And so that is it by way of a summary of the issues that caught the attention of the committee that looked into this particular matter. And those are very disturbing details. And at the heart of this entire story, the question that many have asked is, how can containers get missing? I have heard from a former Director General of the Ghana Ports and Harbour Authority talk about the elaborate process that they go through to clear an item from the port. There would have to be documentation as to how it came in. There would have to be documentation as to whether the appropriate duties have been paid, who has authorized for it to be moved from the port. All those are matters that are looked into. So it's not a case that it's a container, like you've heard some sarcastically make the point that you can liken it to a very little item, like maybe a needle in a haystack or whatever you want to call it, that will just vanish in that particular manner. So it's a very disturbing story, but very early days yet, because the minister, John Jenapo, has indicated that they are going to undertake a full forensic audit into this particular contract and even beyond it, because they believe that there are other individuals potentially who may have a say in terms of what particularly has happened. I mean, the various defenses have already been thrown out there. We have heard some suggest that the very structure of Electricity Company of Ghana, they should not be subject to the public procurement laws of the country. Some have advanced that argument because they say it's a limited liability company, a company that has been duly incorporated among others. But the point that others have also said is that, well, what has that got to do with the fact that you are importing items worth in excess of your demand, and also due to pressure from above, you are directly awarding the contract to specific companies? And so all those are matters that would engage our attention this morning. And joining me in the studio to help with the discussion, a regular every Tuesday, Nana Yao Sapon is a senior aide to Alan Kojo, chairman of the Movement of Change. Nana, it's good to see you once again.
Good to see you, my brother. Barka de Salah.
What will be my response?
I like you to enjoy what will be your response.
It's one hour, 2 man.
You're not hiring the lawyer.
No, I'm not hiring.
Can you imagine?
It depends on where you want
You've gone to learn.
It depends on where you are coming from. Barka Kade.
Barka Kade.
Yes.
It depends. So that is Honorable Mohammed Super Ruiz, the MP for Sisala West.
He's not a typical
on judicial committee as well.
Zungo guy. You understand? So I think I'm more Zungo than he is.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, if he was born and bred in Zongo in Kumasi, it's possible.
I was born and bred in Tamale.
You were born in Tamale is not a Zongo. If you are born and bred in Tamale, the whole North, we are not Zongo. Tamale is not a Zongo.
I was born behind Bikwena's Palace, which is a Zongo.
Well, fine, but if you say you were born in Tamale, just born in Tamale doesn't qualify you to be
you
a
were born in
person.
Kumasi.
Because I mean, I think
then I am a northerner, so I should say that I'm a
I think
Zongo person. Is that a
ideally
No.
the Zongo communities are settler communities, outside the typical areas.
Yes.
Yeah. But how is the festive occasion going? I mean, maybe the only thing I know about this one is when you greet you send your Muslim friends a message, they'll tell you that this one is not a meat one.
You were sending message looking for some meat.
Oh, we are wishing them well. But immediately we just send Eid Mubarak, then the response
when you talked about meat, he's trying to refuse to respond.
Yeah, immediately you send Eid Mubarak, they quickly reply, this is not a meat one.
This is not a meat one. But they know very well that the next question will be, where's my meat? So they'll tell you this is not a meat one. So wait for the meat one. Then you place your request. Anyway.
Aye. Well, joining us on Zoom as well, Dr. Samuel Efriye is a political analyst. Doc, it's good to see you.
Joseph, it's good to see you, and good morning to your special analyst.
And Doc, I want to start with you first from a political angle, and the reason being that, I mean, for those who have monitored the political space, you can safely predict that whenever there is a change in government, you tend to have lots of allegations of corruption being thrown into the public domain. Various committees will be set up. In fact, if you go as far back as the first coup d'etat after Nkrumah had left office, you see various committees, assets committee, investigative committees, all trying to find out whether the previous administration did something wrong. I mean, as a political scientist familiar with this narrative, learning the details that we are learning from this story, are you inclined to think that corruption is still a regular feature in our political life, or you just think that, well, it's the politics as usual that is taking place?
Yes, thank you, Joseph. You know, corruption has been one of the key issues since we got independence. It is one of the issues that we have been using in our political life and also the political campaigns. When it comes any government that will be changed, whether military or democratic government, you see that there's an element of corruption being used as a strategy as a way to campaign to get these government out. And you know, as you said, every government that comes, you see a lot of committees or investigative bodies going after certain kind of individuals and institutions, fish out if there are any kind of malfeasance. And that has been the order of the day. And that is a normal practice, because within the government, if a government is in power, it becomes very difficult to investigate their own and even try to try them and also to prosecute them as well. So the moment there's a change in government, you see that the bodies or the committees that will be set up, that is where you try to identify a lot of shocking revelations about what went on in the previous government. And that is what has been happening. When another came to office, he also did the same thing. We're moving and after some individuals, and also how people were trying to siphon resources from the state, and that has been the order of the day. And it's mostly the government that comes to power are the best people to undertake some of these things. And it helps a lot, because what we have seen so far when the NDC came to government, you could have realized that it's so shocking and so revealing to see some of these kind of issues, especially the missing containers. And it is very, very serious. And I consider these corrupt people as enemies of the state, evil demons that needs to be prayed for or being delivered and also cast to the hell. That is the lake of fire, those who believe in Christ. You know, because, Joseph, it was so, when I got the news, or when I heard the news, I thought I was watching an Indian movie, because Indian movie mostly being seen as a lot of fake in it. But later I realized that this was real. And I wondered how people can connive, can set their minds to have this agenda it's so baffling, it's so serious. They are evil, they are demonic, and sometimes it makes some of us that we are action-oriented, action-inclined, to even think about some of these military actions when these things are being identified. Because you cannot understand how 1,300 containers, and here we are looking at whether they pass through a systematic, because when you go to the ports, it's not easy to get anything out. So how come? And I believe that we need to fish these people, we need to treat them as enemies of the state, and whatever. It's a system, because when you see it, you can realize that EC officials, some officials, as I say, and also the ports, and also the procurement system. I think that was what was being seen. And what were you were saying, but just give it to us. I think there was an abuse of procurement systems or regularities, and these are things that need to be looked at. And Joseph, I'm sad for this country. I believe that every citizen need to be for this country. If people can have these in mind to siphon or to create this kind of I don't know how to describe it. It's serious, and I believe that every Ghanaian will not go in for anyone that will be caught in this web. Sometimes you just wonder when these things will happen. Then you see that you know, because we are in a democracy, and as you know, we go to court, we have these things, and some of them will be off. We have to treat enemies of the state with hard ways and laws to deal with these people. Even if you have to change some of these laws to make sure that in fighting people when they are being caught, that they have to be dealt with. I've stayed for China for a while, and some of these measures, when they caught some of these people, they treat them with harsh punishment. They deal with them, so it becomes a deterrent for people to go into it. And Joseph, some people can use legal ways to steal from the state without looking at the moral and other issue. And that is where also another problem that comes from people who steal from the state. And we need to change some of our laws. We need to make sure that our systems of procurement is one of the ways that is so straight and so difficult to be manipulated. We all have been crying, ECG, ECG, ECG. How can meters? People struggle to get meters. People struggle when you are, even when you are like, you want to get a meter, you go through a lot. I remember someone told me that somebody came to, his meter was stolen. He went to ECG and they are demanding 3,000 Ghana cedi for not even a new one, and not for just being stolen, and you want to get a new one. They are demanding. When you ask, they say, oh, it's a procedure, it's something from the headquarters, it's from the office. Look at some of these things. And the ordinary citizens are bearing some of these costs. They are bearing some of these costs on quarterly increment of utility bills. Because of these kind of people dealing with these demons in our country, trying to shift these burdens to these ordinary Ghanaians. And that is what I'm sad. That is what we need to all wake up and to fish out these demons out of our system, because it is so worrying that even people struggle to get access to what. And look at the Dumso issue, because these are part of it. You see that we have cable issues, we see that we have transformer issues, and you realize that transformer is also part of these containers. So Joseph,
Yeah.
we need to wake up. I believe that we need to have a system change and also review our laws to deal with people who find themselves in this kind of criminality and evil intent. You see that this is a plan one, it's a plan thing that people have sat down with various key members from whatever. It's something that has been schemed and has been there for a while. And we need to get this out and give them harsh punishment. I believe that there should be a law to deal with corrupt people, demons, enemies of the state, so that we will not have some of these people in our country.
Let me come to the studio and I'll come back to you, Doc, on this disturbing issue. And I want to start with Nanaya on this particular matter. I mean, Nana, Doc makes the point. I mean, it's a disturbing story. It's one of those stories that, I mean, you hear and you are troubled and you are wondering how this could be possible. But from the point I started with Doc on, the fact still remains that a lot of these stories, they only become prominent when there's a change in government. Not too long ago, I remember when the new ECG MD took over, when he was embarking on a revenue mobilization drive, there were lots of suggestions that the company was doing well. I mean, there was some new sort of fresh air around the company. Little did we know that all these are matters that were accounting to the troubling state of the books of the company, Nana.
Good morning once again. You know why I smile so much when some of these issues of corruption it comes up. But before I continue, Barakada Salah to all my Muslim friends. And yesterday, on behalf of the Movement for Change, Alan John Kojo Chairman issued a statement to wish all Muslims in Ghana and across the world These are huge amounts of monies we're talking about here. I'm told the procurement gentleman was saying that they had these accounts that every day, or was it every week, they put in some 5 million something for clearing of goods from the ports and blah, blah, blah. Then later the companies will pay back and all that. If that is true and somebody stopped it, before the person stopped it, there should have been so much amount of money in the accounts. So if you are actually deducting those monies within per day or per week, there should have been so much amount of money in it. Sometimes when we come out and we want to defend something or we want to lie about something, we should just sit down properly, do the calculation well in your head, and then sit down aback, then speak in the mirror and see if you're the one on the other side, if you would actually believe
what is being said.
What is being said.
I mean, let me come to Honorable now, and Honorable, this story. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's worrying on different angles, because Honorable, if you have a company and you need cars and you're going to buy it, I mean, obviously the first question you ask yourself is how many cars do you need?
Yeah, sure.
If you need 5, you're going to get 5.
You can't just go and be procuring cars just because you want to buy cars.
I mean, I don't know what you make
anyway,
of
first of all, let
this.
me use your platform to wish my constituents and charity viewers Barakala Sanla. Joseph,
yes.
Right? This particular issue, it is very surprising to us, and as a country, I think we need to tackle this with all the seriousness it deserves, and make sure that we find those who are behind this and prosecute them to serve as a deterrent to others. If not, I wonder how the international community is actually looking at us as a country. If a container, you're not talking about a package like a small box, you're talking about containers, a 40-footer container or 20-footer containers, not hundreds. We're talking about 1,000+ of them missing in the port. And for the past, almost 2 weeks, apart from where some of the items have been found in those warehouses, apart from those that the items have been found with, nobody from either ECG or Ghana Port and Harbour have been arrested. We need to tackle this. Look, my brother, just want to correct my brother said something about the ECG clearing, or is it the shipping department? Just in this case, I don't think the shipping department they don't have any problem. They don't have any issue. I've worked with Ghana Port and Harbour before. I've worked with DHL Ghana. I've done clearing in the port, both Ghana Airport and the port. And so I know the process.
You've been a senior guru officer?
No, I wasn't a guru officer. I said DHL. I've worked with DHL Ghana. And so that's not a guru officer. And trust me, when you have an organization like ECG that is self-declarant, self-declarant means that when items are imported in the name of ECG, you do not need any third party whatsoever to clear the goods. It means that even the ECG itself has the licenses from the customs to clear by themselves. Okay. And therefore, they have trained and qualified, competent persons in ECG who can equally go to the port and clear goods. So they have a clearing. They have a clearing department. That's what I saw here.
So
that's what that means.
The
shipping unit. So what normally happens is that when they procure, whichever way, by themselves or a third party, that is a contract. If the contractor, after importing the items, when the items gets to Ghana Port and Harbour, that is TEMA, what the importer is supposed to do is to hand over the document to the ECG, which means that the document will go to the management, because that is what the person is going to use for his contract payment. So if the management, upon receiving the document from the importer or the contractor, they must forward those documents to their shipping department. Okay. Then the shipping department at that level then take control of it and then start processes of clearing it. And so if the management receive document from an importer or a contractor and decide to engage a third party, I don't see the reason why the shipping department of ECG should come in this matter. Because first of all, if they are not assigned any work, you are here, you are in the news department in TV3 here. And so if you haven't been assigned to do anything here, I don't think that you should be liable for any...
I mean, but it begs the question, what would possibly account for, and I'm asking because of your experience within the sector, what could possibly account for a decision that you have your department that can do what you want a private contractor to do?
It's pure corruption. It is purely selfish interest, right? Because you have a department that has what it takes to give you a service, and that is why you employ those people. Yet you decide to engage somebody outside to pay the person monies to do same. So if it is not purely selfish interest, and because somebody certainly is benefiting from that, I don't see the need. And when I saw that they said they signed a contract of 30 million contract with a clearing agent, I am surprised. Every clearing, this is how clearing job are done. If you import your goods, you give me your document to clear. Upon delivering that, I give you my charges. That is the bill for you to pay. If it has to do with pre-finance, after I have cleared the goods, I have paid the duties, I've paid all kinds of, demurrage, whatever, shipping line handling charges, everything on your behalf. Then I need to present every single receipt, comes with the figures I am charging you. After everything, then I come to where that will be your service charge. And so I don't know, contract, clearing at a port is not like providing, or you are going to procure something, it's just you are providing service, right? And it is based on the quantity or the number of containers cleared. And Ghana Port, and if you go to Ghana Shippers Authority, there are charges, right? Certified charges per container. When you clear 40-footer container, you are not supposed to charge more than this as your service charge. When you clear 200-footer container, you are not supposed to charge more than this. These charges are within a specified something. So I'm surprised seeing that they said 30 million Ghana cedis or so.
Yes, is it normal also that you could decide that you're going to give a contract to a clearing agent and you will pre-finance for the clearing?
Yes. So if you say you pre-finance, it depends. For instance, you have your container at the port. I am a clearing agent. You want me to clear your goods. So I probably, apart from maybe some of the auxiliary charges that I would have to pay on your behalf, you would have to pay your own duty. So I haven't come out with the duty determined by SEPS. I must communicate to you as the importer that this is the duty. And so when I give you the duty amount, that this is what it is required for us to clear the goods, when you give me the money or whatever check, or you pay the duties to the customs, when I finish clearing the container and I'm delivering your container, it must come with all the receipt. And so the pre-finance aspect too, I am surprised. My brother Joseph, this is just a cartel of group of people who decide to rob the street. Look, today we are talking about 1,000. Is it? What is 1,300? 1,300. I can tell you an authority that it is because this is what has been unearthed. Do you know in the past how many containers used to get missing in the port? Do you think that this is just the only container that got missing in the port? It is because a committee has been set up. It is because there was a report from the transitional team indicating that ECG has this number of containers stuck at the port. Therefore, it is as the result of demurrages and all of that. And they indicated the amount of demurrage. The minister then said, okay, let me constitute a committee to investigate to know what actually caused the demurrage. It is at that particular instance that is where we got to realize that even the number of containers indicated, about 1,300 of them are not even in the port as we speak. Let me ask you, ECG has been procuring for the past several years. Let me start from the 2017. They've been procuring. Do you know what happened in the previous years? You and I cannot tell.
Yeah.
What led to the former MD resigning from his position? We cannot tell. Up to now, nobody knows what happened and he was fired. You remember that
Yes, I
MD?
remember, yes.
About a year ago or so.
He decided to
He resigned. Okay, he wasn't
yeah.
fired. He resigned. Good. Whatever accounted to his resigning, nobody knows. Today, a procurement officer or a procurement director is saying that he got pressure from that. The influence was coming from him. If I go, you're
They
right.
said from the managing director. I mean,
From
it
said
does
that
not
the
mention-
managing director.
Yes, because
well, it
we
could
had
be
a number
him.
of
It could be the
managing directors.
immediate. It could be
Exactly.
the immediate past one.
Exactly.
And so, my brother, let me just take you through some procurement that were done as if just procurement or signing contract in ECG was something that you cannot just get up and go and pay shipping line charges when they've not seen you paid your custom duties. So you must prove to them that duties are paid. Then they pay, they allow,
so
they give you the charges.
like an interagency,
Exactly.
such that it's not something that you can easily find a way around.
Not even customs alone have the right to go and pick this container and say we know. And so when they then process the shipping line for you to pay, then they will give the document to their officer. Gapua staff would have to go and locate the container, depending on whichever terminal the container is. If it is at Jubilee, that is where the examination will be done. They will locate it and put it at a point that a custom officer can physically come, and for them to now break the seal in the presence of a custom officer. Even you, the owner, or the agent, whoever that is working on your behalf, doesn't have the right to open or to break the seal without the presence of custom officer. So they must do that together. In some instances, in the presence of national security officials, they will then open, and then custom officer will physically examine, inspect and see what items you have, the quantity you declare on the document, the invoices attached. They will compare all of this things. If you say that you are bringing this laptop.
Just a second. Because these are specialized goods, the buyer and the end beneficiary, for this matter, ECG, would bring an engineer to be part of the team that will inspect the specifications.
Yeah.
And so all of these things will be done. The custom officer, if he's certified, then he goes back to his system and release you. When they release you, it is not only one person. There's another unit. If it is at the airport here, we call them enforcement unit. If it is at the port, they have another unit that will release you. Then you will even now bring in a vehicle based on the document that you are holding. You go for waybill, and then the vehicle will come into the port with it. And then they will inspect the document before even putting the container on top of the vehicle. Before the vehicle moves out, national security would have to check. There will be another group of steps at the entrance that will collect the document and compare the document that you are having, whether it tallies with the container number on the container, because every container has a number.
I see.
And so when somebody comes to tell me it is not even a single container, you are talking about 1,300. What are we talking about? This is a cartel, a group of people who decided to rape our country. And I think that the Minister for Energy, something, but now they should have picked people up at ECG. If you allow them to continue to be in those positions, they will tamper with the investigation that is ongoing. Some evidences probably will be destroyed. But if some people are picked and detained, I am telling you, you will see people start speaking up. So this is the kind of system we have. And so for somebody to come and say that 1,300 containers go missing at Tama Port, well, did they pick them through the sea, or the vessel that brought them, they sent them back to their destination? I don't get it. And so my brother, it tells you the kind of system. Just a minute. When we used to say that the whole country was captured,
on.
I have an answer for you. Look at what happened. Look at what happened, Anna.
Is it the procurement director's report?
No, not that response. The question of the threshold. They said ECG's procurements are characterized by pervasive bulk breaking with the aim of ensuring that contracts fell within the managing director's financial approval threshold of $1 million.
Who does the breakdown?
$1 million.
Yes, so I mean, if
no, so who does the breakdown?
So if they are going to,
that is where I.
So if they are going to procure
$1 million.
$1 million,
yes.
So if they are going to procure,
that's about how much.
I mean, it depends
probably
depends
on the rate you are talking about.
I mean, the point is that so if they are going to procure, so if they are going to procure items that.
It's a big
if they are going to procure, I mean, if they are going to procure items that, if they put the value together as a single procurement, they are going to exceed the threshold. The report here says that they do the bulk breaking, so you do it in
what
bits.
I'm seeing is
so that it falls within the
what
threshold.
I'm saying, if you are building a house, okay, you will definitely have a budget for the house, all right, unless otherwise that you are giving the project to different companies. It becomes fishy when the entire contract is given to one company but it's broken down. And it also depends on the payment agreement that you have with the contractor you are, for this matter, the supplier or whosoever it is. So it depends on what you have down.
Okay.
But if it is indeed that, let's say you're going to buy a transformer, and the transformer is $33 million, assumably, I don't think you can break the transformer into pieces. That's what I'm saying. That sometimes
the numbers.
Yes.
So if you are to get 10, you say that okay, I'm buying 5. Then you are within 1 million. Then you said later on you sign another contract
to buy 5. I mean, so that's what I'm saying. Sometimes when you want to lie to the public, you should just sit down, face the mirror, and see whether or not what you are saying is going to make sense.
I mean, let me go to Doc on Zoom now, and Doc, I mean, Honorable makes the point about the next steps. What do you expect to happen, and how drastic should that be, particularly on the back of the fact that this is a government that won election with anti-corruption as a key aspect of its campaign messages? I mean, Operation Recover or Loot, and people are asking questions. I mean, how come so far only those who have been arrested are persons who have been found with the missing or stolen items, and those who are said to have acquired the missing or stolen items, depending on how you want to characterize them?
Yes, Joseph, we have not been robust in trying to prosecute corrupt officials, but we have been robust in making noise and trying to let people know that we are after them. But as time goes on, realize that the weather will be cold and people might not be seeing the actual results of what these actions that was taken. You know, I will be highly disappointed in this government if people that are found to be corrupt, especially this case of the ECG, that they will let them go. And that's why I was suggesting earlier that our laws in terms of dealing with corrupt people who are enemies of the state, I think is not harsh enough, is not much stronger to deter people who intend to use this kind of, at least to rape the country. At the same time, our laws in terms of the procurement and other things is so, that's why I said that people can use the law to also manipulate the state and get what they want. So sometimes it is up to us to know how we can deal with this. You see, Joseph, this country, everyone in quotes will say at least it's corrupt one or the other because we want things to be fast. We want things to be done this way. We want this security man at the gate want to get something. If you want information, somebody wants you to give them something. At least our system has been monetized in such a way that if somebody doesn't get anything, things will not be done. You cannot, in quote, see real people doing things from their own self, doing as a responsible individuals and assignment that has been given to them. But rather, always trying to get something before things are done. And that is how the system that we find ourselves. So I believe that we need to be robust in the prosecution aspect of it. At the same time, we need to have the courts, a specialized court, to deal with these issues. You know, when you move on to the normal, that is why I remember before time is on the fast track court. These things, these issues, I think the oral and other things, you need to have something that will fast track these cases so that when they are found culpable, the law will deal with them. And in the long term, we should change some of our laws to deal with these issues as soon as possible. People who infringe on the procedural, because my colleagues that were talking about, you realize that the procedure of getting things from the court, I think there was an abuse. You realize that there was a connival of people within a certain kind of cabal where everybody played their role very well for this system to work. And ECG also, as I think the customer in terms of buying some of these things, at the same time, an institution that has been juggled with a lot of debt. And when the Minister for Finance was reading the budget, we all realized the amount that has been, that is the precedent, the amount that is a huge kind of debt be hanging on what? The ECG. And now it's Ghanaians that has to bear the cost. Within the next quarter, I believe that there will be an increment in utility bill. That's the line. And that is one factor because of these negligence and nefarious kind of individuals found in some of these corrupt practices. So, Joseph, I believe that our system is a noise-making kind of corrupt system. That is, we make noise, we make an action that need to be taken. And you see that somebody will see the other person, somebody see the other person. We have these multicultural kind of friends. You are my friend, you are my brother, I'm a friend, a chief, a politician. So you see that later on, the things will die out of the system, and that is where I am looking at that. We have to be robust in our prosecution. We have to ensure that people that and I believe that fast track court can also help within that space, because there's a lot. So far, we've heard that a lot of things are happening, and I think that fast track court that would deal with corrupt people, with good judges, people that are also in line to ensure that these things are done expeditiously, so that we see that actions are taken. If it doesn't work that way, I'm sorry that Joseph, a lot of Ghanaians will be disappointed, because these kind of people should not be found in our community. That is why we vote for the NDC government to come in. They should not be liberal. They should use the law, but they should enforce the law to ensure that people will not scot free in some of these kind of action. It's unfortunate, but we need to be robust. Robust not in noise making, but robust in enforcing the law, changing some of the laws in the long term, and also instituting a fast track court to handle some of these cases expeditiously.
We'll leave it here for now. Thank you very much. Dr. Samuel Efriye is a political analyst. He joined us via Zoom for this all-important discussion. And in wrapping up in the studio on this particular subject matter.
But you know that we have a Confiscated Assets Committee Act.
Yes.
And when some of these goods, if were confiscated, it means that this committee would have knowledge of it. And I'm told by the Act, I was just reading through, the membership of the Act is appointed by the President. And when I was just making my inquiry, I'm told that the former Chief of Staff was also a member of the committee. And for that matter, I don't know how true that is. But, I mean, if we need to make traces, and we should go all out and ask all questions, and anybody who was ever involved in any of these committees should be questioned. I think we should go all out for it.
I mean, in terms of what we can practically expect to be taking place quickly, I mean, Honorable had made a point about the arrest. Let me just land with him on that, and I'll come to you. I mean, what you also share the view that you think by now there should be a lot of people that at least picked up at this stage for some questions to be asked?
Oh, of course. I mean, my earlier submissions, I said that there is a chain. Okay. Most of the times, what we always want to do is to look at the political figures. All right. But there are these technical guys who deliberately lead the way. All right. And so if you They do not even contribute up to 10 to 15% of the matter.
We'll see how all of that pans out. And like I did indicate, the minister says a full-scale forensic audit will take place, but there are still questions about
We're going on
some of those matters, and that, I mean, unfortunately, we were unable to deal with that today.
For some sake, because it's a very important
Yes,
topic.
it is. Yes,
And
it is.
if you look at how the DVLA, it's we need to get into the details of that debt.
Yes.
When you sent the topic, I was trying to do some little investigations about it. I mean, to have signed a contract deal of about 52 million.
Okay. So, I mean, we can delve into that a bit, and to put the conversation in context, let's just take a listen to the CEO of the Driver Vehicle Licensing Authority talking generally about the debts that the company has been saddled with.
As a debt, I never expected anything like that, but I'm faced with it.
I see.
Yes, when it comes to
what do you call the legacy debts?
Debt that have been bestowed on me by my predecessor. And when you check our operations, everything we do, there's some amount of money we get on it. So for me to have such a debt from my predecessor, Mr. Ajibambuzia, I mean, it came with a shock. A small man like me going to that office, and this is what you can give to.
How much are we looking at here?
Let me be very specific with you. Okay, there is this system. One is for the city account. It's close to 300 million Ghana cedis, and the dollar account, it's close to 151 million. The system audit. So I can't put the cart in front of the horse. After the system audit, we'll know what the issues are.
You mean as of now, we don't know what that money was used for?
There is this one of which is very alarming. I will not mention the company's name, but there's this company they had an agreement with, and anybody who asks doesn't seem to know what the issue, what the real work of the company is. They are supposed to do some system monitoring and something. And the Ministry of Finance is supposed to pay about 50 million every year. We are in our third year, and they never paid even one peso or $1 living. We are in our third year, and they expect us to pay all these monies. What I've been telling everyone, we fought these guys under Chairman Rawlings. We fought them under His Excellency John Ejekun Kufuor. We fought them under His Excellency Prof. Ivan Satamils. We fought them under His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency Dana Adedankwa Akufo-Addo. And now, I will still go to fight them. When I was doing my service in the year 2012, Mr. Mate, former regional manager at the 37 office, you will just go and bring police, arrest them. The next day, you will see them around. We'll go and bring police, Tema, arrest all of them. The next day, you see them around. The NPP implemented something we call the Ultra Center. And I asked the directors, what is the difference between the Ultra Center and the Guru Boy? We just use big English to discriminate between the rich and the poor. And that is what they did. Now, the Ultra Center of DVLA are supposed to provide service for DVLA and put extra charges on it. So you have your own office, you come to the DVLA, you have the own office structure, you come to the DVLA, you apply, I come and assess it, I let you run. Then you put extra 100 cedis charge on it. That extra 100 cedis charge, you give DVLA 20 cedis and then you take 80 cedis. Is that not the same thing that the Go Boy is doing? So I want to take a different approach to handle this issue. Fighting them always is not going to be is not going to bring us solution. So what about if we register them and regulate their activities? Temaport, they were fighting them on daily basis. Now you call them agents over there.
And you want to do
Is that the same thing they are doing? Now, we put these boys on the streets. Armed robbery may be on the increase because they are not money. And some of them overcharge. So bring them under an umbrella, control what they do, regulate what they do, make sure they don't overcharge, give them fees and charges they are supposed to go by. If any of them goes outside the box, then you can deal with that person. But now there's nothing regulating their activities. So if they do anything, you just have to go around and be looking for who did that fake work. You may see the person, you may not see the person, and then the next day the person is there again.
So that's the CEO of the DVLA talking about a number of issues. I mean, the main issue has to do with what he described as legacy debts, huge amounts of money, $300 million, $100 million as well, that he says, unfortunately, he's saddled with. He also talks about the role of the middlemen, which has been a big issue for many, and some already points to the fact that those individuals exist because of the failure of the DVLA itself to be effective in delivering services. And so they have become more or less the interface or the means by which services which you can get at very short notice or within a very short period of time, they end up helping you get it even faster than the so-called premium services that DVLA provides, if you can simply put it that way. And now let me start with you on this issue.
Yes, I actually was looking at a few indicators.
state agencies, you see the trend where a company that is the only company that provides the services that it provides, but they are struggling. I mean, if you pick DVLA, there's no other company in Ghana that issues license. It's the only company. It's the only company that it licenses the vehicle and licenses the driver. It also registers the vehicles. This should be a company that should comfortably not be discussing debts.
So DVLA, honestly, it's not different from ECG, like you rightly said. I have quite a number of friends, including the new chief executive officer. He's a friend, and so I'm familiar.
He's a friend.
Yeah, he's a friend.
You shouldn't talk on this.
I shouldn't talk.
Yes.
Then
the jury has taken a decision.
he's a friend. Yeah, I mean, Lucas is my friend. He's a friend. He's a friend, and so my brother, with the issues of DVLA, like I said, it's not different from ECG. There are several millions of contracts that have been signed. They've signed contracts that nobody can really tell what those contracts are for. To the extent of even the website, updating of website has been given to a third party, a contract for somebody to be updating website. And funny enough, as we speak, DVLA do not even have a call center. Today, when you, as you say, if you want to make an inquiry, there's no any, system that you can easily sit here and pick a phone and say, let me dial this number. I heard him saying, he said on one of your platforms that they have only one phone.
Yes, they are helpline.
So they have the F line is one telephone line. I mean, just one mobile phone. They should
have a call center.
I mean, they don't have.
Yes, I mean,
I am telling you that even if the website, to update website on their charges, everything, that they decided to awarded that to somebody as a contract, and the person is not even doing the job.
I don't have a problem if they give those non-core services.
Yes, for core services.
Specialized.
Yes, but that's different. That's different. I'm just telling you the number of contracts that they've signed, to the extent of even signing, updating website, a contract.
They don't have an IT.
I don't get it. So you understand. And today we are talking about the Goro boys at DVLA. What do you know what normally brought about this Goro boys? Because people are not privy to informations. And for instance, if I get up and go to DVLA, I want to do my license. I don't even know the process, first of all. I don't know where to start. So they lack public education. So people really do not know much about the processes of acquiring a license, the processes of registering a car, a process of transferring car ownership to somebody. And so when you get there, the first person you will meet is the Goro boy that will meet you on your way. How can I help you? You must tell the person what brought you to DVLA.
Good customer service.
You understand?
Yeah, they are very efficient.
That's what I'm saying.
They will pick
so they now take advantage of some of these things that DVLA is not doing right. That is what the Goro boys are taking advantage. And to me, they are doing a lot. They are helping the people. As I sit here, I don't know the processes of transferring car ownership to somebody. And there's no any site that I can go and get that. And that is supposed to be the duty of DVLA to be doing that. Updating their website. Public education. How many times have they come to your platform to say that we want to run an advert? The process of acquiring a license in Ghana. A process of transferring a car ownership to somebody. They come to TV3 and say every morning run this process so that at least an ordinary person in Ghana will know that these are the processes. It's some of these things I don't even need to physically go to DVLA before acquiring that. You understand? But because they don't do that, you are compelled to go. And so somebody must also make himself available. When you come, he takes you through the process. And so some of the things, maybe you are supposed to even pay 200 Ghana cedi, but because there's a middle person who is leading you to acquiring it, and even faster, will tell you, bring 1,000 Ghana cedis. Look, 3 days ago, I'm being honest. My uncle came to my house. He was going to DVLA. And he said he was just passing by. He went to DVLA to transfer car his lances. When he went, because he said he was not going to use the Goro boys, he wanted to do the right thing. The frustration that he went through, It took him 3 months up to now. He hasn't gotten the
You say
license.
the right thing. We the Guru boys will not be happy with you. We
3
also do
months.
the right
And so when he came, he said that he now understand why people use the Guru boys. If he had used the Guru boys, by now he would have gotten the thing even within a week. You understand? So for me, for us to get the efficient, I trust the new CEO, and I believe that he can really transform the place. So first of all, some of the contracts, you should look into it, and you know, some of them that you think that is not bringing anything better to the organization. I mean, if they can find a way of terminating them, they should terminate them. Some of them that they think the organization really needs it, they should, maintain. And also he should work at, addressing some of these challenges like frequent educating public about their services, how the processes are acquiring a license. If one wants to transfer a vehicle from one person ownership to the other, the processing. If they are, educating public, and for us to all know the processes. I don't think that
you see,
there will be.
Let's agree on one thing. Once there is a lacuna, all right, we will find people who will be smart enough to fill it.
Yeah.
People that we put them into some of these state institutions that should not even run on a break-even point, even not on break-even. These institutions run at a loss. And that is what some people need to be punished, or some people need to be out when every year we assess their performance. Performance measures is lacking in some of these public institutions or state institutions. So some people have the free will, excuse me to say, to misbehave and misapply, not being innovative. They tend to do things anyhow because it's a government job. And Mr. Kote, as he said, is taking measures, has adopted an ICT approach. But on the other side of the Goro Boys, which has been a menace for all of us for some time, I think we need to regularize their operations. I believe we can also make them as sales officers for DVLA, register them, and give them accreditation cards and other things so that people can have access to their service. And also, even those services that are being run as a sales officer, if you achieve your sale, you can also have some margin to your income or whatever you get out of it. Okay. And they will bring everything back to the DVLA office so that they will still get what goes out unaccounted for. Okay. So, Joseph, I believe that we need to have a system that will make it more efficient. And I agree that there's a lack of education, especially for some of us here. If you want to change a car or whatever, you don't know what goes on, you just give it to somebody to do it for you. So they should also try to apportion or segment their various customers so that they can deal with them appropriately. And I think these are the few things I will add up to my colleagues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Doc. That is Dr. Samuel Efriye. He's a political analyst. He joined us for our first and second discussion on the big issue. I was also joined in studio by Mohammed Sukwaru, Member of Parliament for Sister West and Deputy Ranking on the Judiciary Committee. Nana Yaosapon, regular on this show, political aid to Alan Kojo Chamantin. What is Nana saying?
I'm asking if he stopped burning charcoal.
We don't burn charcoal.
Sisalers.
We don't burn charcoal.
Nana, that's what time will allow us this morning. New day continues.
Until gas landed in Ghana.
Keep your dial right here on TV3. I'm Joseph Akable.
Every day, people have money emergencies. Ma, I need my school fees emergency. Mommy chop money emergency. Emergency. Message. Are you ready? Emergency. Now, there's a new emergency number in town. Dial *770# for all your money emergencies and chop.
Dial *770# for money emergencies and get easy and quick access.
Let's take a listen to him when he spoke to me on hot issues.
What I've been telling everyone, we fought these guys under Chairman Rawlings. We fought them under His Excellency John Elikum Kufuor. We fought them under His Excellency Prof. Evans Atamils. We fought them under His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, His Excellency Dana Adedankwa Akufo-Addo. And now, I will still go to fight them. When I was doing my service in the year 2012, Mr. Mate, former regional manager at the 37 office, you will just go and bring police, arrest them. The next day, you will see them around. We will go and bring police, Tema, arrest all of them. The next day, you see them around. The NPP implemented something we call the Ultra Center. And I asked the directors, what is the difference between the Ultra Center and a Guru boy? We just use big English to discriminate between the rich and the poor. And that is what they did. Now, the Ultra Center of DVLA are supposed to provide service for DVLA and put extra charges on it. So you have your own office, you come to DVLA, you have the own office structure, you come to DVLA, you apply, I come and assess it, I let you run. Then you put extra 100 cedis charge on it. That extra 100 cedis charge, you give DVLA 20 cedis and then you take 80 cedis. Is that not the same thing that the Go Boy is doing? So I want to take a different approach to handle this issue. Fighting them always is not going to be is not going to bring us solution. So what about if we register them and regulate their activities? Temaport, they were fighting them on daily basis. Now you call them agents over there.
And you want to do that?
Is that the same thing they are doing? Now, when we put these boys on the streets, may be on the increase because they are known to money. And some of them overcharge. So bring them under an umbrella. Control what they do, regulate what they do. Make sure they don't overcharge. Give them fees and charges they are supposed to go by. If any of them goes outside the box, then you can deal with that person. But now there's nothing regulating their activities. So if they do anything, you just have to go around and be looking for who did that fake work. You may see the person, you may not see the person. And then the next day the person is there again.
Julius Nikwe Kote is acting CEO of the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority. Let's get in a bit more on the story. We're joined by the former board member of the DVLA and CEO of Top Tech Transport and Logistics, Cecil Gabra. Cecil, I appreciate Your video looks okay, but we cannot hear you. Well,
Okay.
Well, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay. So what I mean is that they are already in operation. Okay. They have everything there, and then one will have to find out whether they are fake documents, they are fake things that they do there or not. Obviously, it's 50-50. Some of them can give you the right document by walking into DVLA, and then others can also give you fake documents. Right. So if you bring them together, I think what the chief executive is saying is right. I mean, we have to try and do it, because several years ago, I was of the view that, look, let's bring them together and see what they can do. I mean, it's going to be a trial basis. Right. Now, for instance, I can sit in my office and then call somebody, maybe call a dispatch rider, say, look, go and renew my license for me. Right. He goes and comes back with a sticker. Right. Now, but the law says that you have to go through an eye test and so on and so forth before. So that is skipped, and that is paid through, I'm sure, the Goro boys in connection with some DVLA officials. Well, I think this is just one example. There are other examples, like renewal of your car papers, okay, where your roadworthy is expired. Yeah, you call same guys, or they go to the Goro boys, and then they will get them for you. Right. So it's much better if they come together, and then what we can do is to have
so,
an
Cecil, do I get the sense? Do I get the sense that you do not think that even when we regularize the activities of these young men we call Goro boys, it shouldn't cover every service of the DVLA?
Precisely, that is what I'm saying, that it can't cover 100% of activities of DVLA. It can cover to some extent, and I was giving you an example, right? Change of ownership, which is very complicated, Ghana card and so on, right? When you bring them together, I'm sure that they will team up with the appropriate officials of DVLA. So it may come up to say that, look, this Goro boys will be a step towards assisting DVLA. But other question is that why can't people also walk into DVLA to do whatever they need to do? It's also a waste of time sometimes. So if the Goro boy will be given a tag or will be registered and will be monitored on all activities, I think it will be a step towards the right direction.
How do we then measure that against our need to have properly licensed vehicles on our roads, properly licensed drivers on our roads, and then also to avoid the issue of theft when it comes to change of ownership of vehicles? How do we balance that?
Exactly so. I'm coming back to the same thing to tell you that not every documentation could be done through them, because they will need you as a person, for instance, to pick up your biometrics, and therefore they don't have that equipment to do it. There will be helpers, or what do I say? There will be assistants for DVLA when they are regulated, okay, to do specific jobs. But you cannot go to them to have all your documents changed to new ownership, or maybe you've bought another vehicle and then you want the documents could be done. They cannot do all. They may assist, but if you regulate them, that is fine. And in other words, some of them also have got equipment. I mean, that's very true, that if you want a license, a fake license, they will give you that fake license, but you may not know. However, regulation should be the whole idea. I think it's a good step towards the right direction, where the chief executive may come in to tap into certain expertise to know what they can do, and then there are limits. Definitely, they will have their limits. And I think it's a good thing, because when you leave them, they will multiply and continue to do bad things. And the general public will have fake documents, fake driving license, and driving will be very terrible, accidental.
I see. Cecil, I appreciate you talking to us. Cecil Gabra is Top Tech CEO. He's also a former member of the DVLA. We'll turn attention to utilities now. The Public Procurement Authority is being urged to sanction former top officials of the ECG indicted in an investigative report for being responsible for what analysts have described as disturbing contracts awarded to specific companies. The power distributor has in the last few weeks taken center stage after it emerged imported containers had vanished from the Tema port.
The 103-page report raises serious questions about how procurement has been handled by the power distributor. The report has become topical following national security operatives arresting some individuals accused of unlawfully acquiring containers belonging to the power distributor which were being kept at the Tema port. The report notes that management's negligence caused the hold-up of the containers, including incurring demurrage to the tune of over 909,578,400 Ghana cedis. According to the report, ECG's Director of Procurement admits that ECG procured in excess of its demand, but intimated that this was due to pressure and influence from above. This pressure and influence was said to be from the then Managing Director, who awarded contracts to specific suppliers without subjecting them to competitive processes. The container hold-up situation, the report notes, was created to enable the award of clearing contracts to the tune of 159,650,000 Ghana cedis to third-party service providers, even though ECG has a functional shipping unit that is capable of clearing the held-up containers from the port. ECG could also not account for at least 1,346 containers valued at $489,099,241.62. Managers of ECG are said to have justified the non-clearance of the containers on the basis that they lacked funds. ECG, curiously, however, managed to award a contract and pre-finance one of the clearing agents, Mint Logistics, with 30 million Ghana cedis. Financial and economic policy analyst Senyo Hosi says the former officials must be held responsible.
They are ultimately responsible. The directors of the company are ultimately responsible. So, Minister, I'm hoping that this matter, we don't leave it hanging as a policy matter. The directors of ECG must be held responsible, everyone within that time. They are responsible for what has happened. If we can't account for it, they are responsible for what has happened. You know that contracts are going. What's the efficiency in it? The reason why I was saying that we can't blame this on the qualification of the procurement head is because these are fundamental things that you don't even need procurement expertise to be able to manage.
Energy Minister John Jenapo has hinted of full-scale forensic audit to identify all suspects.
It's good that this has come up, and I'm happy that all of us are discussing this issue. The issue of invitation of the MD and all those would follow now. In fact, what the committee did was basically to look at the records and to reconcile a lot of the documentation. Now that this report is out, and we've written to the investigative agencies and the law enforcement agencies, I'm sure that the former MD, current executives, everybody would be given a fair hearing and a fair opportunity. For instance, if the procurement is more than 7 billion in 2023, you'll be asked questions. Why did you procure over and above? What was the mandate? What was the rationale? And all that would involve that. Then these containers, I do know that they have serial numbers. They are received at the port. There's a manifest, there's customs, there's GAPOA, and all of them are cooperating so far. So you need a team to go in detail and do a forensic analysis and trace the numbers.
With government Operation Recover All Loot program set to fully take off, only time will tell whether this issue will be a subject of prosecution.
All right, I want to show you a bit more of the recommendation from that investigative report. We already know that the Energy and Green Transition Minister, Dr. John Abdullahi Jinapor, has indicated that, listen, we will either get the goods back in cash or kind from the perpetrators. Already, we know that more than a dozen people, many of them foreigners, have been arrested because of the missing 1,300 containers. So these are the recommendations. The first one recommending that ECG management, past and present, whose actions resulted in this mess, be made to account for the over 1,300 containers. How many of them have been seen so far or found so far? Based on the minister's work, about 40 of those containers were traced to a man of Indian extraction here in Accra. It also recommends that the Public Procurement Authority should investigate the alleged procurement breaches, exact appropriate sanctions in line with the provisions of the Public Procurement Act 663 as amended. And of course, you heard the minister talk about that in that sound clip earlier. The report also recommends that immediate steps are taken to recruit a new director of procurement with the requisite academic and professional qualifications coupled with the right of level of experience. The current director of procurement, premises and estates is an expert in housing and estate management with no practical, professional or academic qualification. Essentially, what this part of the report is saying is that whoever is in charge of procurement at ECG at the moment does not have the needed or required experience at the level that he or she occupies as director of procurement, and so they are recommending that a new director of procurement with enough experience is employed to be able to stop things like this from repeating. But let's have a quick conversation with Deputy Director in charge of operations at the presidency, Mustafa Gbandi, who's been calling for the arrest of 3 key individuals he believes should be held liable for the missing ECG containers. Mustafa, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much. But like I said before, you're demanding the arrest of the former MD, the board chair, who is now the minority leader, and a few others. Now, talk to us about why you think these key people should be arrested for what we see today.
Well, good afternoon, and good afternoon to our terrorist listeners. Well, I think that in this country, we play the ostrich. We pretend when the at the expense of the ordinary taxpayer. We need to be serious as a country for once. We need to get serious.
Hold your horses. Let's put some of the issues in perspective.
Come again, please.
I'm saying hold your horses so we put some of the issues in perspective. The minority leader who you name in the list of people to be arrested, we know was only board chair for a short period of time. He had indicated that he raised the alarm about this. We also know that the investigative report only recommends that people who were involved, and I'll read that quickly, people who were involved should be held accountable for the missing containers and the mess we find ourselves in at the moment. But you are asking that they be charged for a crime. What exactly would the crime be? What would you call it?
What do you mean by he's been there for a short while? Was it not about chairman? And he told
Mustafa, is it not also the case that he was board chair for only a short while, which means that there was somebody before he came? My question to you is, why him?
The man has made his own confessions to you and I, that he sought to question about some of these practices, and the answers that were given to him was not a cure to the problem, but yet he kept quiet. What are you talking about? What has that got to do with the period for which he lived there as a board chairman? What about Dubik? What about Dubik? Dubik, is it not the MD?
The purpose of the question.
Have an oversight over ECG? So are you saying that the board of ECG have not gotten any day to review monthly stocks and orders that have been requisitioned to review whether or not these things have been brought to ECG warehouses? Are you saying the board doesn't have responsibility of this? And are you saying that the managing director does not report to the board? So, therefore, you are going after security people, you are going after ports, you are going after Chinese, and then we sought to shield individuals who should have rather been arrested at this time. We should arrest Apenyama without any excuse. Let him provide better and better particulars. As a matter of responsibility as the board chairman of ECG, within the period which these things have taken place, he should be arrested. And then, of course, Dubik, he should be arrested. Please, let's get serious for once as a country.
Mustafa,
the repercussions of this matter doesn't just go into institutions, but it affects ordinary lives, the taxpayer. You see how much we have to buy electricity. You know the repercussions when these lights goes off. Government upon government have sought to resolve the matter, only for us to see this is not just stealing, this is a cabal, a chain of criminals who have shortened our country, and we should be dancing around it as usual.
Mustafa, we'll leave it here. Thank you so much. Mustafa Bandi is Deputy Director in charge of operations at the presidency. He's calling for the arrest and criminal prosecution of the minority leader who one time served as board chair for ECG, Alexander Apenyo-Makin, the former MD, Muhammad Dubik, and the former energy minister as well. Which takes us to Parliament now, because the minority there has expressed concern about what it says is the sudden incidence of drug trafficking and money laundering rearing its ugly head in the country barely 3 months after the NDC has been in office. Ranking member of the Defense and Interior Committee, Reverend Intim Fojo, addressing the media in Accra, called for swift and transparency in the investigations by the national security.
On February 9, 2025, National Security conducted a major raid on a warehouse in Sapiman in the South Municipality in Accra, where they uncovered 12 20-foot containers filled with gold bars and unspecified amount of cash in various denominations of US dollars and Ghana cedis, worth over several billions of dollars. This operation was widely carried by various media outlets in Ghana. Nearly 2 months after this operation, National Security has failed to brief the public on the status of their investigation relating to the culprits behind the billions of gold and cash stashed in the 12 containers, and failed to disclose the actual quantity of gold and the specific amount of money retrieved during the operation, and what the state intends to do with the gold and cash currently in the custody of National Security. We demand accountability. We demand National Security to give account of the gold bars and the cash retrieved and what they intend to do with it. Does the government, through national security, intend to divert the 12 containers filled with gold and cash, only to turn around to deceive the public in the end and probably call the gold as fake and the cash as counterfeit? On another security matter related to our airspace, the Minority Caucus calls on national security to, as a matter of urgency, make public the content of cargo suspected to be cocaine and cash transported into the country by 2:23 a.m. and Kabok Air private jets Antonov An-12B, which landed on the tarmac of Kotoka International Airport in March 2025 from Gran Canaria, an island of Spain, and departed to the same Gran Canaria days after their arrival. Reliable intelligence intercepted by the Minority Caucus indicates that on March 20th, 2025, Air Med flight N823 AM, which is an air ambulance, and I must stress, it's an air ambulance designed specifically to carry patients, landed at Kotoka International Airport in Accra, Ghana, and remained in the country for 5 days before departing 1 a.m. on March 25th, 2025, back to Gran Canaria. Our intelligence further persists that no patient was transported by the said Air Med flights, neither to nor from Accra. There is no evidence of medical referral or patients accompanying or on board the flights on either legs of the flight.
Reverend Ntim Forjo is ranking on Parliament's Defence Committee. Now, people continue to fall victim to cybercrime despite efforts to online security. Recent incidents have highlighted the urgent need for enhanced cybersecurity measures. Aisha Yakubu Khalid has more in the following report.
On March 17, 2025, the country woke up to news that the personal X account of President John Dramani Mahama had been compromised, promoting a cryptocurrency by the name Solana Africa. For 48 hours, these unscrupulous individuals literally held the president's account hostage. The incident did not only expose weakness in the president's social media management security, but also evidence of how no one is safe.
Even the most robust systems have issues when it comes to their security. You can never have a system that is 100% secure, so there will be lapses. But we see this as a clarion call to individuals, to even the staffers who are in charge of these kind of accounts, to do more when it comes to protecting these accounts that we are working with.
The country's increasing internet penetration has been diluted by a surge in cyber-related crimes. The nation currently ranks second in Africa and 7th globally in online-related crimes. In the first half of 2023 alone, the country recorded direct financial losses amounting to 49.5 million Ghana cedis due to cyber fraud activities. These numbers only represent reported cases. The actual figures could be much higher. The impact of cybercrime is deeply personal, affecting individuals' daily lives.
I was added to a group, okay, that was prior to the hacking. A few days after being added, I was hacked. What happened was that I was called. I picked the call, and then the person at the back end informed me that so the group I had joined, they were going to have a meeting, more like a Zoom meeting. So, but he was going to send me a code. So that was why I dropped the call from him and realized that something went wrong. So opening my WhatsApp there, and then I realized I was off. I didn't have WhatsApp again. He was reaching out to my friends, my business associates, my siblings and all that, trying to acquire some money from them.
I decided to order for a ride. When I initiated the process, all of a sudden the interface that came, it kept buffering. A call came through, and then when I picked the phone, then there was this voice speaking to me at the other side of the phone, that he is calling from boat, and so I should hold on. After the call, the boat is going to send me a code to input so that it will rectify the buffering. I inputted the code into the system and then it picked. The interface, everything was okay for me to order my ride, not knowing it was a work of a scammer. These scammers took charge of my account and they were ordering rides in my account.
Welcome back. It's still News Central live on TV3. Let's bring you some more stories now in Regional Hub. The Ashanti Regional Minister, Dr. Frank Amwako Hene, has revealed a total of 2,900 individuals were affected by the March 21st fire disaster, which battered the Blue Light Market at Edum PZ in Kumasi. This was contained in the data NADMO collected after the disaster. The regional minister also disclosed government's readiness to engage bankers of the affected traders to renegotiate flexible payment terms for credit facilities given the traders. William Evans Inkum is Ashanti Region correspondent. He's joining us for a bit more on this story. William, good afternoon. Almost 2 weeks since the fire at Blue Light. Tell us the current situation on the ground. What does it look like?
Well, so the area has been cleared, of course. The remnants of the affected shops have also been moved from site, now making the place very vacant or very cleared. That supposes that certainly, maybe in the future, we're going to see some level of redevelopment. Like I would say that the area is prepared for that if there's going to be, any such move as far as the infrastructure of that particular place is concerned.
I see. But what do reconstruction efforts look like?
Well, so there's still some level of negotiation between the government, that is through the Regional Coordinating Council, and then of course Menchia, because Santana is the custodian of the land, and now he has the major say as far as that particular place is concerned. I told you early on that this particular land was released to the railway, authority for the purposes of rail transport, but it has become a white elephant. We know that already. And at a point in time, it was leased to these traders. Now there is a disaster. There should be, a different plan going forward. And that is, if that is going to happen, that is the rebuilding or redevelopment that particular place is going to happen. What I have been told
She noted that many people are no longer willing to venture into cocoa production because little has been done to revitalize the sector. She urged the government to expand and diversify the cocoa industry.
For over 60 years, and we are still exporting our cocoa to other countries, which is not good for us. Also, we need to involve the youth in the cocoa farming industry.
Scholarship, cocoa scholarship.
Now, in the Northeast region, a pressing crisis unfolds as young girls face troubling choices, including menial jobs like KIO business, early motherhood, and limited employment opportunities. The region is currently grappling with one of the highest rates of teenage pregnancies, even though its young girls often migrate to the cities in search of work that frequently leads to exploitation and hardship. There's more in the following report.
Statistics from the Northeast Regional Health Directorate are alarming, revealing one of the highest teenage pregnancy rates. Despite a slight decline in percentage rates in recent years, the Directorate is calling on stakeholders and non-governmental organizations to help reduce the trend.
It's unfortunate our teenage pregnancy is increasing because it's among some of the few leading teenage pregnancies in the country, among some of the regions that are already leading. And this has become a worry for the region, especially with the regional health director who is crying on this issue. And it has been a challenge for us that together we'll fight against teenage pregnancy and see how we are going to curb it.
Amidst the struggle, Hawa, a determined JHS graduate and mother of 3, has dedicated her life in changing the narrative of these girls. Recognizing the urgent need for economic empowerment, she has taken it upon herself to teach young girls kente weaving, a beautiful and culturally significant craft that supports financial independence and fosters a sense of community and pride. Through her initiative, Hawa has successfully trained over 500 young girls, helping them develop essential skills that lead to meaningful employment.
I went to Bolga and learn how to do weaving. So the time I've completed the weaving, I decided to weave it on Bolga or to start in Bolga. Even some NGO picked me so that I can teach some of the children in Bolga. But I decided that I must come home and help my sisters. No, the problem is the KIO. They have been going to KIO. And that time weaving was not here. So I decided to bring weaving to Northeast so that I can help my sisters so that I will reduce KIO.
I completed senior high school 2018. So when I completed, I went to KIO. So when I came back with nothing. But I was trying to go back. And I've heard people are talking about Madam Hawa. So I go to Madam Hawa. I told her that I'll join her work. And she told me that there's no problem. Since I came by now, I'm getting to 3 years. So now I know everything.
I am happy because I can now do work and weave.
That notwithstanding, Hawa's journey comes with challenges. She faces difficulties in securing the necessary weaving machines and materials which are crucial for expanding her program and reaching even more girls in need.
The Atebu Amanting NDC constituency executives have expressed deep disappointment in the national executives for their failure to nominate a municipal chief executive for the Atebu Amanting municipality. According to them, the involvement of traditional chiefs in the selection process is inappropriate and does not align with their expectations. They are therefore calling on President John Dramani Mahama to urgently nominate a candidate for the MCE position.
This thing started since 2016, and we thought it was a mistake. We were hoping it wouldn't repeat itself, but the same thing is happening now.
2016 but still, position.
3 people were selected for the national nomination of the MCE position, but as it stands now, the names that were mentioned, Atebubu Amantin was excluded. As it stands now, we don't know whether it's Kojo or Kwame who's standing for the position of the MCE for the Atebubu Amantin municipality. Information reaching us is that some of the traditional chiefs has rejected our nominations, claiming that they will not allow an outsider to be an MCE on their land. The same things happened in 2016, and because of that, we lost our seats to the MPP, and today the same thing is repeating itself. If care is not taken, these issues will make us lose our seat in Atebubu Amantin coming 2028. Therefore, we are calling on President Mahama to, as a matter of urgency, address these issues.
Well, Atebubu Amantin bringing our newscast to a close today. Happy holidays. Thank you so much for your company. I'm Kemini Amano. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.